Alright, let's just dive right in with something a little bold. I'm willing to bet that a lot of us, maybe even most of us, are breaking one of the most fundamental rules of the clean architecture. And we probably don't even realize we are doing it. So it all comes down to a really simple quest. Just take a look to your project. If you find that your inner core logic, your business rules, have any dependency on the outer layer, then, well, I hate to break it to you, but your architecture is fundamentally upside down. And when your architecture is inverted like that, everything, I mean everything, become a fragile, brittle, and just a total nightmare to maintain. So yeah, let's talk about the upside down architecture. Think of it like a silent killer for scalability. It's the kind of thing that creeps into project, especially early on when you are just trying to move fast and get things done. And I'm sure these violations look pretty familiar to a lot of you Flutter devs out there. Have you ever imported material Dart right into use case? Or maybe used a DO or HTTP package directly inside your business logic? Come on, we have all been tempted. They seem like a harmless little shortcut, but they are a textbook example for breaking that one core rule. So, what's the big deal, right? Well, those small shortcuts, they lead to the massive problem down to the road. All of a sudden, you cannot unit test your core logic without mocking the entire Flutter framework. You cannot just swap out your REST API for a GraphQL, because your business rules are literally tied to your network client. It's that awful sinking feeling of being trapped. And this, right here, this is the heart of why it happens. You've let your stable imported business logic become dependent on fragile external details. Things like the UI and specific data sources. I love this idea of architectural gravity. It's like this invisible force that constantly pulling your project down, making it heavier and harder to change with every single one of these violations. But look, there is a way to fight this gravity. It really all comes down to one simple, incredibly powerful rule. And once you really get it, I promise it will change how you structure your app forever. Let's dig into it, and here it is. This is the one rule to rule them all, the dependency rule. It's simple, all your dependencies have to flow in one direction inward. Your outer layers, the stuff that changes a lot, like your UI, your DP, they must depend on your inner layers, the stable core of your app. It can never ever be the other way around. This slide breaks it down perfectly. Just think of this great divide. Your inner layers are all about the what? The pure business rules, the core logic that makes your app unique. This is at the heart of your application and it should be super stable. Then you have the outer layers. That's the how. All the implementation details we are taking UI framework specific database tech, third-party APIs, all this stuff that by its very nature is not stable. And it's probably gonna change. Now, if this all sounding a bit familiar, it should. This is just a dependency inversion principle. You know the de-install it, but applied a huge architectural scale, the principle basically says high-level modules you shouldn't depend on low-level ones. They should both depend on abstractions, and that's exactly what are we doing here. Okay, that's enough theory. Let's make this super concrete. With a real-world Flutter example, we're gonna look at the common, easy but wrong way of doing these things, and then we will see exactly how to fix it with the right approach. So here's the classic anti-patterns, your fetch user profile use case, which is a very specific piece of your business logic. It directly imports the DO package and makes an HTTP call. I mean, it seems efficient, right? But boom, you have just broken the rule. Your core business logic now knows about and completely depends on specific network library. It's been contaminated. Okay, now let's flip it and look at the right way. First, the use case only knows about an abstraction, an interface, or in Dart, an abstract class. We will call a user repository. Think of this as a contract. All it says, hey, get me user profile. It has no clue how the data gets fetched. The way out in the data layer, we are creating a concrete class, user repository implementation that implements the contract and use DO to do the actual network call. And just like that, we inverted the dependency. The data layer now depends on abstraction that was defined on domain layer. And what's the result of doing this? Your core is now pure. It's completely independent of any framework, any database, any API. Your entire infrastructure, your data sources, your UI, it all becomes a set of replaceable plugins. You want to switch from DO to HTTP package? No problem. You only change one implementation file, the data layer, your code business logic doesn't even notice. And that is a real architectural power. And trust me, this isn't just some academic exercise. This kind of discipline has profound long-term consequences for the health of the entire lifespan of your project. Just imagine the fate of two different projects. Project A breaks the rule. Yeah, it gets off to a fast start, but by the year 2, every single change is painful. By year 3, it's completely drawing the technical depth. Now, look at the project B. It follows the rule. The start is a little more structured. Maybe it's slower, but the year 2 it's easy to adapting new tech. And the year 3 it's scalable and maintainable, and the team is totally free to innovate. I mean the choice is pretty clear, right? Which project do you want to be working on? And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Clean architecture isn't about creating a bunch of folders and name them domain, data, and presentation, and it's about Reg's disciplined approach to manage the direction of your dependencies. That's it. That's the whole game. You knowing the rule is the first big step, but the real challenge, especially when you are working on a team, is enforcement. Follow for more engineering tips.